Hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report. And welcome everybody to another episode of my Independence Report, and it is Tuesday afternoon, and Dana Parker is with us for the entire hour. She's an awesome dudette, and she's in charge of the Inner World Movement, and we're going to talk about that bunch today. But first of all, I got to ask you, how are you? How was your weekend?
Good. Full of goodness and connection and wonderful experiences. You know, I helped run a women's retreat this weekend, and it feeds my soul, and I pour my whole heart in, and so it's what I was born to do. So I love it.
Now, how hot is it where you are?
It's probably like 80s to 90s right now.
Is that normal?
Maybe sometimes you reach 100. Yeah, in the summertime, it's usually like in the 90s most of the summer.
We broke a record yesterday here in Seattle, Washington.
You did?
111.
What? That's crazy.
It never happens here, and It was an all-time record that beat the former all-time record, which was recorded the day before.
My gosh.
So
hot stuff happening out there.
Yeah, if you live here, apartments don't have AC. Houses don't have AC. Nobody has AC here because it only happens like once, maybe a year, once every other year that it gets to 90.
I can't even imagine. It only gets to 90.
Yeah, that's only a couple of times a year. Most of the time, it's 70. Of course, I shouldn't tell anybody that because they don't want to move here. But
yeah, seriously. You just announced it to the world. Everyone's going to be moving there now.
Yeah, well, and you're moving from one place to another, which I hate.
I am. Me too. It does something. It's like an emotional experience for me. I have to really take time to allow, and you know, I'm actually. It's been really interesting. It's been fascinating how it's been unsettling for me.
Oh, it's well, last time I moved, I ended up having 2 surgeries. So that was fun. So, but I wanted to touch bases with you today because I did the Martha Norwalk show over the weekend, and it became really obvious to me that there is some changes that be going on with us these days, and they have to do with, you know, COVID is, thank goodness, COVID is starting to wane a little bit and it's coming to the end and stuff. And so people are learning to do different things. But what I'm discovering is people are coming out of COVID with a different mindset that they went into COVID with, which is, I want my life to mean something. Businesses are having a tough time getting their employees back because they weren't happy with the job that they had. And so they're interested in doing new stuff, and that's where you come into play, my dear. So tell us about what you do and how you can help people find their inner voice and find their inner movement so that they can change where they're at to something different.
Yeah. Well, the biggest things that hold us back often from taking those leaps is, one, awareness. I think that's what COVID did, is it helped us take time to become aware of how we actually feel about our life, how we actually feel about what we're doing and the energy we're putting into people's businesses, you know, these businesses and what people are doing and where they're going with their energy and their time. And so I think it's really, I love that. I think it's so valuable to take time for introspection. And, you know, once that introspection hits, then, that's where the bridge of, okay, becoming aware that you're unhappy to actually doing something about it, there's a big gap. And in that gap, that's the inner world. That's the thought patterns and the ideas that we're carrying. It's the cultural, get a trade, get a job, retire from the same business. That cultural programming and idea that is old, it's outdated. Even if you don't like it, you stay in it and you retire from that company. Well, that's not happening now. It's different. And so people are noticing that they're going into a trade. I can't tell you how many people I meet that go to school at like 19, when they know themselves so well, and
Oh yeah.
they get a trade, and then they go into it and they're like, I hate this. This is not what I was meant to do. And it's like, you just spent thousands of dollars learning what not to do, which can be very valuable. And is there a better way? Is there a better way? And there's a lot that we could go into with that, but I think that gap of, okay, I'm aware now that I'm unhappy, and how do I do something about it? That's where inner world can come in. That's where inner world movement, coaching, the group coaching program even can come in, because after you start asking yourself questions, then there's emotions to navigate through. There's fears, there's scarcity. What if this doesn't work? There's self-doubts. There's self-worth issues that cause people to stop receiving. There's receiving issues that people can have. And I think it takes a really, and for an individual to create huge change in their life, it does. It creates a team. It takes a team to do that. And I think that's the value of having a coach. I mean, I still pay a coach in my life. Every month, I have a coach that I go to, that I work with, that I've been working with for a couple of years now. It's so valuable. And so I think, doing that inner work, asking questions, getting through the emotional aspect of things, navigating through, coming out powerfully on the other side so you can take more aligned action, it's vital to the process of actually doing something about the awareness of, I'm not happy in my job.
See, and I know that you've been through this, but if we could make change, and if we could live the life that we choose to live in a vacuum, that would be one thing. But when you are surrounded by all these people that are used to you being the way you were, and now you're doing something different, it's got to be it. Well, I know from experience, it's very hard when you are changing to yourself. It's like you get people in your life that go, Dana, I like you the way you used to be. Can you just go back to that?
Go back to that, because we liked that. You didn't really push our buttons as much. You just went with the program, and it made us all comfortable, and you gave us warm fuzzies.
Yes, and you have a beautiful smile, and it was nice that we didn't have any arguments, and we didn't have any disagreements about what is life and why we do what we do.
We all agreed on everything. Yeah, exactly.
And it makes it really tough for people. So how do you coach people through that aspect of it?
Yeah, I think there's layers. That this is the really enjoyable part about what I do is I've navigated through this, and there are lots of layers. There's personal layers, so there's personal things in our life that create friction or cognitive dissonance. Things like, I'm not worthy, I'm unlovable, I can't have it, I don't deserve it. Things like that actually create a lot of emotional experiences in our life. So we have personal experiences that shape who we are in our programming. But then we also have this generational stuff, things passed down in families, things to break through there and work through there. And then we have cultural programming. There's lots of good stuff there. And then, we can get into the spiritual world. And sometimes even for me, there's past life stuff and other areas that I like to touch on. But those are some of the main areas that I found that if we can cover those things, find the programming, which that's what I'm so good at to help people with, find those areas and the roots, uproot what's not working, learn how to let it go, love what is, let go, and then reprogram new ideas, then you're more empowered. Then your thoughts and emotions are aligned with what you want, and it's easier to take new actions and new steps. So I really believe the process of healing is awareness. Then you do the healing work. and then you step into the new and you take action in the new. And it takes a really strong cheerleading team, I think, to help somebody take those big leaps of faith. So, and because I've done it, I love helping other people. It's soul fulfilling for me. My whole soul is fulfilled when I can help people in those processes.
It sure seems like it, because you always, every time I see you, you got a smile on your face, and it's really cool. I got to tell you, I got into a bit of an argument yesterday, and so
Ooh, tell me more.
this is going to be my coaching moment.
Love it.
I was doing a show called Life Between Lives, and it's based upon Dr. Michael Newton's work. It sounds like you're familiar with it.
Yes, fairly familiar. I have dabbled in.
Yes. And anyway, it's a hypnotherapy program where he puts you into deep hypnosis so that you can actually go to the other side, and you can talk to your guides, you can talk to the council that works with you, and other people that are on the other side. And so we were talking about this, and the subject of grief came up. And I was like, okay, look, I understand through the work that I've done that death isn't real. Death doesn't exist, that we continue after this life. We lose our body, but we gain a lot of knowledge and we gain a lot of power, and it's not a bad thing to die. And so consequently, I don't feel the need to grieve people that have passed away because they're not dead. And so we're having this discussion about, oh no, there's this grief, and and grief can last 10 years and they can ruin. And it's like, and so I finally my point was, okay, look, if we agree that we continue, and we agree that people that have passed on continue, then if we are grieving for them and not living our lives to the fullest extent possible, and then we are dishonoring those people because they recognize that they want us to live our lives while we're here fully and completely. They don't want us to grieve for them, and so we're actually doing them a disservice. That was my opinion. I didn't have a whole lot of takers on that opinion, by the way. But so I would love to have you, because people tend to love to kind of wallow in the grief and the stuff. But so tell me your attitude around that. How do you feel? Am I right, or not that right or wrong is a thing?
Right.
But so give me your thoughts.
I love this, and I think that there's lots of value to, I think, everything you're saying, and everyone's going to have their different experiences. And I really do think that some people come here to have experiences of wallowing in the grief for years. There's value in it. I mean, to me, I don't know that it's a decision I want to make. Actually, I know it's not. I like to work through and process through emotions fairly quickly and not get stuck or wallow in it. But that's just me. My soul feels fulfilled when I move through. And so, I like to maybe kind of give the example of my life. So my life, I'm not dead, but I'm very different today than I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And you know what? My family has gone through a grieving process of my change. So when people die, it's almost like there's this transitional change, that they're no longer here in this form, and we no longer get to interact with them in that way. And there's the human brain that's like, we're unsure. There's always that unsurety of the next life. There's ideas that we can believe in and put our hearts into, and I really do believe there's something in my heart that says there is something beyond. And there's so much good work in what we're talking about in the Life Between Lives, and all of this evidence of possibilities, right? But there's no like surety, because we're here, and because there's this veil where we don't know, and so there's this faith and hope. But I think in the back of people's minds, there's always can be a little bit of doubt, and then with that doubt can come this grieving process of not only has their relationship kind of changed, now they have to interact if they believe, interact on a spiritual level with them. If they don't believe that, then they're gone to them. And that can be such a hard process. Even for me, there are times where I have grieved my own change. I have grieved my own shifting, Sometimes during the process, it was like, oh, listening to music that I used to listen to, it's like, I remember being that girl. I remember being that person plugged into a religion that I just followed, and I was part of this community of connection. And some days feeling like, oh, I miss that just plug in. And inside it, my soul is like, no, this is better. And I know that, but there's that process for me, that sometimes things like that come up. So that's kind of how I see it. But I see there's value in the feeling of emotions. There's value if you want to grieve in it for 10 years. On the other side, I think that you'll see that there was value. You'll glean nuggets from that. If that's not what you want to do or choose into, then don't. And move through it the way that you want to. And that's the beautiful thing, is every life, no matter how it's lived, there's value. I do believe that wholeheartedly.
It's interesting that you say that, because none of them brought up that point. And these are hypnotherapists and mediums and people and none of them brought up the point of it's their choice. And maybe that's the choice that they made before they came here, because that's what they chose to experience. Yes. And so from that standpoint, I get it. And I understand it. I personally
there you go.
Personally, I think it's a waste of life, but that's not for me to say for somebody else. They get to choose how they want to respond and how they want to act, which takes me to the next thing, which is there's a point in time, and we talked about this as you enjoyed this weekend show. We talked about this as well, which was that there's a point in time when you get tired of the same thing that you were doing before, and there's a kind of a moment where you reflect on it and you decide, this really isn't serving me well. So I want to do something that serves me and serves mankind more. And then a lot of people throw up their hands and go, yeah, but what? I don't know what to do, how to do it, how to move through it. And what will it be like on the other side? Then fear comes up. If I do this, what happens to my marriage? What happens to my relationship with others? What happens to my job? Can I make money? Can I survive? All of those things that come crashing in, and I believe they're all designed to prohibit you from changing, because that's what your life was. And you agree with that, apparently.
Yeah, I actually think it's the number one thing that stops people is their thoughts and emotions that maybe even on a subconscious level are running and they don't even know, because most people actually aren't fully aware of their emotions and how it's affecting them. We do blanket statements like, I'm feeling anxiety today. Anxiety about what, though? It's just running constantly, and so they'll go get medication and numb it. And I'm not anti-medication. I actually think there's a balance. There's a time and a place where that can be a good bridge for somebody who has tons of anxiety. But somebody who has tons of anxiety or fear on a regular basis, we got to be giving them tools to ask questions, to understand why, what's the root source, empower them with things that can help them understand their emotional processes so that they can move forward more empowered. And this is where the emotional education or emotional intelligence is so valuable right now. I mean, we're at an all-time high for anxiety and depression meds. And anxiety and depression meds, to me, are a lack of emotional education. That's what it's showing us. And so I think that for some reason your question just like left. That was so crazy. I'm like, where was the path that I was going with that? And what was the question? That was crazy.
Well, that's what happens when you get a little older, my friend. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, no.
It's like, where'd that go? And when it goes away.
That is so funny. And I'm turning red. Oh my gosh. It's been so long since this happened.
Oh, That's all right. It's because it was such a complex, unique, and a question that just took you to the very edge of. No, I'm kidding. But we were
So
talking.
funny.
We were talking. So let me ask you:
Yeah.
is that a common theme of the people who call you? That it's like Dana. Like if I were to call you today,
Hmm.
I would say, Dana, my life isn't working. I
Hmm.
want it to work differently. I want it to work
Hmm.
better. I
Yep.
don't have a clue on how to make that happen. Can you help
Yes.
me?
Yes. Absolutely. 100%. I do believe that I can. And that's really where questions come in. And that's really where helping somebody understand them, who they are, what they value, what makes their heart just glow and sing, and then where they're at now. Where are you at now? Where do you want to be? And then how can we navigate the emotions along that process of change so that you can have an easier time getting to that destination? And I know how to do that because I'm doing it in my life. I've done it in my own life. I've lived that journey. I've walked that journey and helped thousands of people the last decade. And so I feel very confident in helping somebody. Now, it doesn't mean it's just going to happen like that for everyone. It can be a process. And it's part of the reason why I don't love doing just one session with a person. I love group, like, I really want to do like 3 months as minimum of when I like to work with people, because I want them to see results. I want people, this isn't just emotional, mental, inner world healing. No, it's that combined with real life results, real movement forward in your life. And I like to see that through with somebody. And you know, when you have a coach or somebody that's holding you accountable to taking those steps and applying the healing, your chances of achieving those goes through the roof. There's so many studies on having somebody that accountability, you know, that ups your chances of you getting your goals and dreams in tremendous ways. And it makes sense. We all, you know, having somebody to hold you accountable in a loving and empowering way is the way to get what you want. We can easily talk ourselves out of getting what we want and get stuck in the mental cycles of old patterns and self-doubt. But having somebody that can pull you out again and again, help pull you out and empower you, that's incredible.
That's one of the reasons why I do what I do, is because
Hmm.
I get to talk to people like you, because it's really I can understand. I was very lucky because when I had my epiphany or wanted change, I had a group of people, including my wife, that were interested in the same things. Now,
Mm,
there were different degrees, but there were four of us that went down this path together to learn about meditation, to learn about
oh,
spirituality, our spirit guides,
yeah,
how to access certain things, and so
yeah.
forth. So it was easier, and then of course it all fell apart.
Mhm.
But you know, because everybody's an
Yeah,
individual and they all do their
yeah,
individual things, and
yeah.
so that ended up all falling apart. And if memories, two out of the four of us are still pursuing a spiritual path. The other two are, I don't know. They went, and I've lost contact with those folks.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. And I do, this is one of the reasons why group coaching, I'm so passionate about it, is because when individuals can come together and we're synergistically moving forward, healing through old cultural, generational, personal ideas that are no longer serving us, that create emotions that no longer are serving us and stop us from having our dreams. There's power in that. There's power in that community, and it fuels you when, you know, those hard days when you're like, I don't know if I can do this. You have your group, you have your team that help you take that next step and keep you motivated and going. And so that's one of the reasons why I love, and I'm creating these group coaching programs, is to bring together a community that supports each other that way. I think
It
it's
is.
really important.
Oh, it's huge because there are so many. Excuse me. There are so few places where you can go if you are interested in something, in changing your life in a better way. There is really no place to go.
Right.
It's hard to find a group of like-minded people that are going through the exact same thing as you are at the exact same
Right.
time. And if you
Right.
can find that group of people, then
Yeah.
you can be empowered to do some really cool stuff with those people, and they become lifelong friends.
Yeah. No, to anyone listening, my invitation to you is if what we've been talking about, that person that feels I need something different, I can feel something different gets to happen in my life for me to be more fulfilled. Get out a pen and paper, get clear on where you're at and where you want to be, and then get clear on the type of people that you're looking to show up to support you. I remember doing that for myself as I was going through these big shifts. For me, I'm like, okay, I need a little tribe, and I actually call them my soul family now. And getting clear on these are the type of people that I want in my life, people who are emotionally accountable, people who are on a similar journey and path of expansion as I am, people who can support me through these next big steps of change in my life and will support me and love me. They're not attached to my decisions. They don't take personally my decisions in their life. They're neutral. Things like that I wrote down, and then my people showed up. And that's the beauty of when you put your mind to focus on something and you say, I want this, and I receive it, and I'm open to it. Universe, bring it. Things show up because the universe wants us to expand. God, Father, Mother, God, however you call it, there's our souls were created for expansion. And so the resources, the people, the support will show up as you get clear. And getting clear is important. Before I got clear, I attracted I used to actually attract a lot people who would takers, or some people call them energetic vampires, or things like that just they suck the life out of you. And then when I started getting more intentional and saying, you know what, I can love those people from afar, people like that. And I started tracking, okay, how I know somebody is a taker, and getting clear on that, I empowered myself. So now when someone shows up into my life, I'm like, oh, I know, I can feel that they're going to be a taker. I can love them at arm's length, and that's okay. That's good for me.
And at the same time, there are people that will look at you and say, "Oh my goodness, she's a giver. I give she
Yeah,
because she's a giver, I can take." And
exactly.
so
Yes.
it's a self-fulfilling prophecy if you're not very careful. So you have to set one of the keys that I believe is necessary is you got to set boundaries of
Yeah.
what you will allow and what you can't allow and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm going through that process with this radio show. It's getting more popular, and now I'm having to establish boundaries because there are people that will want to take it over and
Yes.
to deal with and you can't I can't allow that. I've done it before and it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
you got to set boundaries, right?
Yep, I completely agree. And follow your heart. Your intuition will guide you in decision making, and you have to trust this, especially in situations like us, Kevin, where we're kind of this entrepreneurial. We're paving a new trail in a new way. You have to be really in tune here of intuitively, and you can logically work through things of I know I want to kind of work with these kind of people. I know I don't want to work with these kind of people, but connecting the two is really powerful, and you have to learn how to trust here. And that's the foundation of the group coaching program Reclaim You that I'm going to be launching in September. So
Absolutely, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. But I want to get your opinion on something. I
yes.
I believe I believe I believe I feel like
I
Martin Luther King,
believe.
that there are moments in time and there are things that are said to you or that you experience. Could be a song, it could be a line from a movie, it could be, and it resonates so deeply with you. It resonates deeply with you because of your soul is saying, yes, that's what I want. Because there was a movie, I'm sure you're aware of it. It's called Braveheart,
Mm.
and I don't know if you've ever seen it. Did you ever see
I
Braveheart?
haven't. No, I have not yet.
Because it's a bit of a bloody thing, and
Yeah.
people are killing each other all over the place, and there was one line that resonated with
Mm.
me. It was Mel Gibson, who was a kid at the time. His father had just been killed in a battle, of course,
Mm.
and he was lying on a slab, and Mel Gibson's character was sleeping next to him, and the father turned to him, turned his head to him, and said, "Your heart is free. Have the courage to follow it."
Mm.
And it was like, that was like a
Mhm.
moment in time that was like, that's it. My heart is free. All I
Mm.
have to do is have the courage to follow it.
Mm.
Was that a message? Did I get a message from that? or
Yes. I really think that change over time, there's these simple, I call them simple epiphanies that just shift things in your mind, shift your perspective where your soul's ready to hear something, and it does something for you. It puts you on a new path. And I think that those moments can happen through music, through people's compliments or comments or advice, or there's just so much that can happen. There's this ripple effect beyond what we actually really can see. But I know that a lot of my personal journey has been through simple moments, simple key shifts that have put me on a different trajectory. I
just
love
just
that.
Yeah, just like that, because it quite honestly, it happens all the time. And if
Hmm.
you're open to it and you are
Yeah,
receptive to it, and so you just have
agreed.
to be receptive to it, and you'll see that the things that you're asking for may take longer, but
Yeah,
than you anticipate, but the things you're
right.
asking for will come to be. As an
Yes.
example, you came to this show, we had not met each other, and you came, and I had no idea. Hannah booked us, and we had no, and we formed an instant connection
Yeah,
because we're after the same thing.
agreed.
And
Absolutely.
it's awesome to work with you because you can help, and I'm all about finding people who can help people
Me
live
too.
their lives the way that they want to live them. And I think the program that you have coming up in the fall is the first one of many, many, many of those, because it's going to be very, very helpful to people. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so excited about this program. I think it's foundational, especially after this weekend. I spent the weekend with about 15 women. And in it there was this reoccurring theme of of giving your power away to emotions, to perfectionism, to a list of demands in your mind that somebody told you you should. And women and men are starting to wake up and starting to challenge that, just like we talked about, at the beginning of this chat. Is people are waking up and saying, I don't really feel fulfilled in this, and I really want to do something more fulfilling. And so foundationally, this program really is about letting go of all of the ways we give our power away, challenging some of those old cultural, generational, personal programming and ideas that we carry about ourselves, and stepping into new ones, becoming aware of one's own emotions. I mean, just to be able to name your emotions, to know what you're feeling, to learn how to check in regularly, know what you're feeling and why, that is a priceless tool that can help so many people and help them move through things so much easier. What happens when you do that is you actually become the observer of your emotions, when you can ask questions and understand that your emotions aren't driving the show, you're driving. And so it's kind of like, if you can bring it into a symbolic visualization, which I do, I see everything very symbolically in my mind. It's almost like on a subconscious level, there's so many of us that are driving the car of our life, right? And we don't even know, but this is happening, but there's so many different hands on the steering wheel trying to navigate us in different places. There's generational, there's religious, there's cultural, like we've talked about. There's your mom's hands and your dad's hands, and what they told you and what you got from them, and your partner, or whoever. And this program is to help you say, you know what, my hands, it's me. I get to drive because ultimately I'm accountable for my life. At the end of all this, it's my life, my accountability, and so I'm going to create what I want. And so it's really the teachings of the foundational tools to have that kind of life and to feel empowered in that kind of life. And the funnest part is we have these group coaching. So we're going to meet once a week. We have these group sessions that are just, I'm so excited because I have things mapped out and planned, but also there's room for intuitive coaching in these sessions. Like, it is catered to the people that are there with me. And because things come through me in ways that are perfect for the people in front of me, and I know I can do that because I've done it before, and I love it. I love that space of intuitiveness. It's so enjoyable because then I know it's for them. It's for the people. I open that up and create space for that. Along with that, I get to do one-on-one sessions with every student. That's why I'm saying there's going to be 12. I'm capping it off at 12 this time, because I want to make sure that I have that time to pour my whole heart in for each individual. So they'll have sessions with me every month throughout. And then these are personal, where we get to go into fun things that they're open to, working through their own personal things that they're experiencing, where we just take it to such a real individual level. And then we'll have some bonus events. So every month we'll do a bonus event where it's like an all-day event where I'm going to bring in different speakers and different people I am so connected to. And it's humbling to think about, but I am connected to some of the most incredible people that have so much to offer, that will be sharing their hearts on these calls. So I'm really bringing it this time, bringing the value, bringing my connections, my heart. And what's so cool, Kevin, is there's two things. Do you mind if I share two? There's two options where people can kind of get a taste.
Of
Is
course,
that okay if I go into that?
you may
Awesome.
go into.
So there's a Facebook page, and if you want to, you can find me on Facebook as Dana Parker, and add me on there. And I have a Facebook page that people are welcome to come to, that I'm going to be doing a free 5-day self-empowerment challenge, where every day we're going to be talking about amazing questions and content, and then there'll be a challenge for the day to step into more self-empowerment. And that's going to be happening July 10th, the week of July 10th, for 5 days. And people can join that for free. And then for those of you that feel drawn, you can reach out to us if you want to know more about the group coaching program. I did share quite a bit here. But for those listening, we actually have a coupon code for all of your listeners, Kevin. I'm so excited. Yes, it's a $3,600 program. And for all of your listeners and anyone who wants to reach out from your show, we have a coupon code, $2,100 off. So to make it a $1,500 program.
Wow. What's the code?
It's the code's 2100 off, 2,100 off.
Gotcha.
Yep. So that's the code.
And your Facebook page for the 5-day starting the 10th.
Yes.
What is that?
It's called Reclaim You. I can actually, if you want, Kevin, I can send you the link and then you can post it. That would probably be easiest. Reclaim You Self-Empowerment.
Okay. Reclaim You Self-Empowerment. That's good. That's good. Did I? By the way, did I tell you the metal penny story yet?
No.
No, you didn't hear this one?
No.
I have been working for a long time with some really quality people like yourself, and understanding that people need to change. And last week I was watching TV, and I was watching a pawnbroker show, and they had the silver, they had the metal pennies, and one was like worth $10,000. So I had 4 of them. So I went looking around my house to find the book that I did when I was a kid, and there it is. It's got pennies from And there are metal pennies. I found out that mine are worth between $1.50 and $5. So that
Nice.
but what I found in the interim was this, which is a CD of when 3 months, about 3 months before my dad passed away. Because I had been doing radio and stuff, I had the equipment to go to his house and to do do an interview with him and my mom, and she's still living, so she doesn't get it yet. But he, so he did. I did this interview with him, and the reason why I bring this up now is because what I came to understand is that generationally, this generation is making a huge quantum leap from the previous generations, because when I interviewed him, he was talking about providing for his family, getting a better job, or moving up the corporate ladder. He was a scratch golfer in his life, and so he was a really good golfer, but he never pursued it. He said, I couldn't pursue it because I had kids. I couldn't become a pro.
How many kids? How many kids?
He had three, and
Okay.
I was the accident. I was the last one, and but yes, but what shocked me was he could no more sit here and talk to you and me about what we're talking about today than fly to the moon. It was not in his consciousness at all.
Yep.
And for most people that age, my father-in-law was the same way. It was not, they were all about working and keeping, but it wasn't about living your passion. It wasn't about doing what you really wanted to do to help the planet. I think there's a fundamental shift that's gone on in that is peaking now after the pandemic, and that's why I highly suggest people go to look at your work with Reclaim You on YouTube or on Facebook, and then go do this. This will be a life-changing event for people, won't it?
Yeah, it will. Absolutely, 100% life-changing. The work that we do, I actually think, because we're all connected, the work that we do, especially in a synergistic group coaching, it has a ripple effect that will affect generations and will affect, I've seen this in my own family. I've seen this in my own boys, is my work directly affects them. And so I really do believe the ripple effect of stepping into this will help people in them wanting to create change in what they put their heart into and what they're doing for work, and on every level there's beauty that will come from this. And I want to make something really clear, because I think it's important. When you join things like this, it's like there's so much good stuff, and it's a step. It's a step. I'm the next step for somebody. This isn't the end all be all fix all. And just like you said, there was that group of people where there's 3 of you that are still pursuing that expansion. I believe that expansion is a lifelong journey, and that this is this group coaching program is a really fabulous next step for people to learn foundational tools that they can keep using the rest of their life, that they can take and teach to the next generation. These are some of the things that they'll be getting, are things that they can use with their children and so on. And teach them how to emotionally process information or the emotions that they're experiencing, or life. And so that's the best part, is when you empower yourself, you're empowering a community. You're empowering generations with information that is so valuable. And our world is screaming, I feel, for emotional education. These wars and politics and all of these crazy things that are happening. It's just a lack of emotional intelligence. It's a lack of knowing where to put your emotions and what to do with it. All emotions are acceptable. What you do with it matters. It makes a difference, because there's a ripple effect of our actions. And so that's part of why I feel so passionate, is the ripple effect is going to be magnificent.
When you learn how to, as an example, talk to your kids in a positive way that can be impactful for them, for their life, rather than children should be seen and not heard, go to your room. Don't talk back to me. Yeah, that's how I grew up. Is I learned how to live in my room really, really, really effectively.
I
Um,
know.
but but that doesn't change anything. What changes
Right.
is when you know how to talk to your children and empower them to make great decisions on their own with your support and help. And
Mm.
you can learn through this program how to treat people differently, right?
Oh, yes, 100%. And you're treating people differently because you're different. Because you are creating more space for more self-love, more self-understanding. You're really going into those depths because self-compassion and self-love will be a huge part of the program, that practice. And when you do that, when you love yourself, give love to yourself like you would a good friend, you automatically treat others differently. Everything becomes beautiful, and your whole perspective shifts. That's my favorite part about this inner world healing for outer world results. You see the world differently when you see your inner world differently, and that's what I'm here to help people do.
And I also believe that because I'm sorry starting to see these pop up more and more. I've got a gal. She was on the last hour. Her name is Coriel Kramer. She is an animal communicator, and she works with animals to help them with their behavior issues and stuff. There was a time years ago when she would do a session where she would invite somebody to come in. She doesn't do that anymore because you can't get it done in a session. You need to establish the ground rules. You need to do
Mm-hmm.
it. And I'm seeing other folks do the same thing. It needs
Mm-hmm.
to be a program that can have homework and can
Yep.
work with people.
Application.
Yes, for a period of
Work
time,
with them over time. Agreed.
and that's what you're doing, and that is
Yeah.
just that's super. So and by the way, if you take advantage, and this is a 12-week program.
Yep.
Okay, so if you take advantage of this and you take advantage of the of 21 off and use the code, that's $100 a week.
Yeah.
um that's nothing. uh
Right.
you
Right.
just modify your Starbucks habit and that'll be nothing.
Done.
but
Yeah. Right.
but it can change, but it really honestly can change your life. Now, do you advocate, if a husband and wife are kind of along the same, do you think that this would be a good program for them to do together?
Oh yeah. And yes, 100%. Because when you grow together, I think that that's powerful. Again, synergy, but also the connection that can happen when you grow together. When we talk about emotional accountability in this program, emotional accountability can change a marriage, transform it in ways that I think people have never seen before. The relationships that I have now, especially as I got back into the dating world, I've dated a few different people. It has transformed how I do relationships, and I love it. And sometimes it takes a minute for the person I'm dating to kind of learn and understand because it's foreign. It's not a normal thing. Like most men are like, wait, you're not going to blame me for those emotions that you're feeling, those negative emotions. Like, no, I'm accountable, and I know you were doing your best and you didn't mean to, and this is how I want to be treated next time. But I'm accountable for these emotions. I'm not blaming you. I know you're doing your best, but I do get really high quality men too. So I'm not
Oh,
getting,
I,
I'm
I
not
was
dating like.
I was married for 24 years, and I don't believe I ever heard that, not once.
I'm
And
telling you, it transforms everything when you have that emotional accountability.
yeah, of course, I did marry my mother, but that's a story for another time.
That can happen. That actually is very common, Kevin.
Well, she didn't
Telling
start
you.
off that way. She was adorable when we first got married, but over
Yeah,
time she just turned into my mother.
your mother. Yeah, what a gift for you. I'm sure you learned a lot.
I
I'm sure
did.
you healed a lot of those mother wounds you had.
Yeah, it did. It was yeah. So but I'm perfectly happy. So I've decided that I'm going to be single. I had just a real quick story. I did have to tell you this.
Yes.
I had a gal that who I met online, and she was like, sometimes people do weird things online. They'll just pop up and say, "Hi, you want to be friends on Facebook?"
This
And
is true.
so now I'm doing research to make sure that they're
Mm,
appropriate people that I would know them. And
yeah.
anyway, this one said, so are you dating? I said, well, I haven't had a date. And this is a true story. I haven't had a date with anyone other than my ex-wife since 1980.
Wow.
Because I'm not interested.
You're good. Yeah.
I'm good just the way I am because I get to talk
Yeah.
to people like you
Yeah.
and,
Well,
and
and
stuff.
that's why yeah, you're not interested in that right now. That's totally acceptable. And you might not ever be, and that's acceptable too. You get to choose your experience.
I get to do whatever. That's the other thing. When I was a bus driver, which I recently retired from, there were guys that were working 60, 65 hours a week and we made pretty good money, but they had to work that much because their wife demanded it from them because they had stuff they wanted to go buy, trips they wanted to go take and stuff. And so the wife was like, you need to work more so that we can pay off these bills so that we can create more bills. So one time a guy,
Fascinating experience.
yeah, one guy was telling me this story, and he said, "So, how long you been married?" And I said, "Well, I've been divorced for 10 years." And he said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You dating?" I said, "No." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because I get to do anything I want whenever
Yeah.
and
Oh.
nobody's there to tell me no." And
Yeah.
so when I said I'm going to start this podcast and it's going to look like this, and this is what there was nobody to say, "Are you sure you want to do
No.
that?" That's not a very good thing to do. Right?
Oh.
You're going to waste all your time.
You know what? Recently stepping into that world, in the last 2 years for me, it is liberating. It's
It is.
liberating. And I actually had some old stuff that I had to work through because there were decisions that I've made in my business and in my life that I'm like, wait, I don't have anyone to like tell me no. And I don't really have anyone to like that I have to talk this out with and try to convince that it's the right decision. It's just me. And
Right.
it's a whole new world because I got married at 19 and then 16
Yeah.
years, So I got married really young and then in the patriarchal culture that I live in, it's like you listen to your husband. And so, which I didn't all the way along, really.
That was, in the culture that you grew up in, that was almost a requirement. This
There's a lot.
this is what you do.
Yeah.
You go to high school, you get out of high school, and the boys go on a 2-year mission, and then they come back,
Yes.
and then they get married.
And then you get married and you marry a return missionary. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew a guy that he came back from his mission. He met the girl at the welcome home party that he was coming back from, and then 6 months later they were married. It's like that's crazy.
Oh,
He
so
was
common.
yeah.
That's because you're not supposed to live together. There's no premarital sex. There's none of those things. So you jump into marriage fairly quickly because hormones and all kinds of other things. And that's the next thing that you're just pounded into you. Like you go on your mission for boys, you go on your mission, and then you get married,
Yeah.
and that's the next step. And for girls, it's like you get married. You just get married as fast as you can, and it's important. And if you're in your mid to late 20s, something's wrong with you if you're not married. And a lot of women deal and struggle with that here. And it's starting to change because the next generation is a little bit different. But yeah, it was fascinating culture for sure.
It really is. So it becomes important for you, for all of us, to lead the life that we feel blessed to be leading.
Yeah.
And for some of us, it takes a village to figure it out for ourselves, and that's why your work is so important.
Thank you. I completely agree. That's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to help mirror and to show. And I'm living the life. I'm doing it. I'm stepping into that for myself. So I'm doing the work, and I've done the work too. So that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I can see the fruits of it in my own life. I can see what's happening, and it fuels me to help others along the way.
Well, you and it's not like you're a rookie at this. I mean, you worked with two
No.
other companies before this, so you can
Yeah.
see the results, and then you've taken the best part of those programs and infused your own individuality into it to come up with a better program overall.
Yes, 100%. I worked with 3 different programs and thousands of people I've worked with now over the last decade all over the world. And it's actually fun to see that all of us as humans, we struggle with these core programming and ideas about ourselves that hold us back from getting what we want on a real level. And so it's been a fun journey, and I'm thrilled to be doing my own business now too. That's like a lifelong dream.
Well, you're going to be wildly successful. And by the way,
Thank you.
this is Dana Parker, and you need to go to innerworldmovement.com, and you can find out a lot more about her work, what she's doing with a team she's assembling, and all of that. And you can go to the Facebook page, which again is
It's Reclaim You Personal Empowerment Group.
very good, and that would be, and there she's doing a free 5-day session coming up on the 10th
Yep.
of July, and so take advantage of that, and that would be really good. Dana, we've come to we need to close today. Is there anything you'd like to add or to share, or just anything you like? Anything?
Yeah, in this moment, what I'm really feeling is just gratitude, overflowing gratitude. Thank you, every person listening. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for opening your heart and mind to these new ideas and new questions. Thank you for taking the time to go within in your life and to look at the things that aren't working for you. Thank you for supporting Kevin. Kevin is incredible and so much fun to support. Thank you for listening in, and continue listening in, because there's so much value in the connections that he has. And so my deepest gratitude to everyone that's supporting and a part, and we're all here, we're all walking it together, really is what this is about. It's not about me being I know everything and let me teach you all of the wisdom that you need to know. No, we're walking it together. We're in this together. And so it is an honor, and it is a joy to be on this journey with each of you that are listening. And just, I love being here. I love this life. I love the people here. It's just incredible to experience this, all of it. Remember, you're doing so good at this human thing.
Absolutely. Now, I did want to make one thing clear, because this podcast is going to be up. My kids have been told that after I die, it has to be up for 10 years. So it may not be between now and the fall that you actually run into this. I believe that you get the information that you need when it's appropriate for you to get it and when you can act on it. So you still need to go to innerworldmovement.com, because they will have more things in the future. And so you can then hook up with Dana at that point in time. Speaking of hooking up with Dana, I wanted to make sure, because I consider you like my younger sister now. And so
I love it.
Anybody that is dating you, they can send their resume to myindependencereport.gmail.com, and then we'll have an interview to make sure that they are good enough for my younger sister. Do you got it?
I love this, Kevin. I love it. This is so funny. I do. I have my group of people that are like, that I introduce the people I date to be like, hey, give me the feedback. What is it? Tell me the truth.
So you are vetting each one. Yeah. Well, you gotta, in this day and age, you gotta vet people to make sure that they are appropriate and stuff like that. So
agreed. And you want to have those people that'll tell you the honest truth,
That is awesome. Nice.
That's my favorite thing about my soul family friends is when I introduce people and bring people in. I've introduced them to some people, and they're like, "It's close, Dana. Well, we're not quite there, but keep going. I know you're having fun. Enjoy it while it lasts. But you're close, but not quite yet."
That ain't the one.
Really great feedback.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're taking you're surrounding yourself. Well, of course you would, with the type of people that can support you and stuff, because we all need that, and we're and it's really important. So Dana Parker has been here. Are you coming back next week, by the way?
Yes, I believe I have that.
We didn't book it yet, but I wasn't sure.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
I was saving my Tuesdays for you, Kevin. Long as you have me.
She's gonna be back next Tuesday at 1:00 in the afternoon Pacific time. Do join us, and we're gonna have a great time again, and we're gonna learn more. Next time I'm gonna try and come up with some questions to stump you and see how that works.
Let's do it.
Dana, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Kevin.
And everybody else, I've got a podcast coming up at 3:00. We're going to talk to the owner of Mystical something or other, and he's a mystical. He owns a mystical shop in Mount Vernon. So we're going to talk to him at 3:00 Pacific. So come on back for that. And thanks again, my friend. And stay right where you are. Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other because each other's all we got. See you next time on My Independence Report.